Okay, so in the previous video, we already discussed how to draw or sketch a graph for a modulus function, and also how to write out the modulus function in non-modulus form. Okay, and then for today's lesson, we are going to continue with some examples, like how are we going to solve the equation, okay, with modulus function. Alright, so to solve the equation with modulus function, there are actually a few different methods that we can use. Okay, so the first method will be graphical method. The second method will be the definition of modulus. Okay, so the definition of modulus, we actually also call it as non-modulus form. That means you need to use the non-modulus form formula to solve the equation. Okay, and the third one will be square both sides. Alright, so in exam, you can use any of these methods to get the answer. Okay, so for some certain patterns of the question, right? Some method here will be, how to say, among these three methods, alright, it will be suitable for different kinds of question. Alright, there's no best way, okay, for one particular question, but generally you need to know which is the best, which is the more suitable methods to use in the exam. Okay, so for the video today, I'm going to discuss all the three methods here, and after that, I will tell you for one particular question, which is the best method that usually I will use in the exam. To me, I think it's the best because it's the easiest one. To me, it's the easiest. All right, but for discussion and for understanding purpose, I will still show you all the methods here. Okay. All right. So the first one is graphical. The second one is non-modulus form, and the third one is square both sides. Okay. And then for point number one here, this one we'll discuss it later when we discuss one of the example or one of the method. Okay. So I'll come back to this part later. Okay, so I'm going to use the example 3 for all the three methods here. Okay, so for example 3, you have A, B, C, D, and E, F. I will solve A, C, E for you, and then you try B, D, F yourself. Okay, you try the B, D, F yourself, and then I will show you all the three methods first. Then after that, only I will make a simple summary. Okay, for which pattern or passion. Okay, which method is easier for us to use in the exam. All right. Okay, so let's start with example 3, part A. Okay, if you have a look for part A, you're having a modulus x minus 2 equals to 3. So how can I solve and get the answer for this one? Modulus x minus 2 equals to 3. There are three methods here. I will start with method number 1, the graphical method. Okay, so when you want to use graphical method to solve any equation, right, you have to make sure that the graph that you draw is as accurate as possible. Right, so as an example, if I want to use the graph method, so for this particular pen, when you want to sketch a graph, okay, what you need to do is I cancel off this one. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to sketch two graphs. The first one is you need to sketch y equals to modulus x minus 2. And then another graph is y equals to 3. You have to sketch two graphs. And after sketching these two graphs, you have to find out the intersection point. So that is the answer for your x. If let's say you want to use the graph method. Okay, so let us start. Okay, so to sketch y equals to modulus x minus 2. Okay, first you need to draw originally first. The equation is y equals to x minus 2. So when x equals to 0, y equals to negative 2. And when y equals to 0, x equals to 2. Okay, so you need to plan well before you can get an answer. Okay, so maybe I will need to do it like this. Okay, so let's say this is my x and this is my y. All right, and then when y equals to 2, sorry, y equals to 0, your x is negative 2. So negative 2, I'll make it as this one. Okay, and this is 2, 4, Hey, sorry, I think I did a mistake, right? Okay, sorry for that. Okay. Okay, so you let y equals to 0, you get your x. X is equals to 2. Then if you let x equals to 0, your y is negative 2. Oh, okay, so I will make this as negative 2. This is 2, and this is 4. Okay, so I will plot the point here. Y equals to 0, x equals to 2, which is this one. Okay, and then when x equals to 0, y equals to negative 2, that means this point. Okay, so you can actually try to draw a line like this. Okay, so this is the original graph without modulus. Y equals to x minus 2. Okay, so if I want to put modulus, that means you need to reflect the negative part become positive. So I believe that you already know how to sketch a graph. So to reflect the negative part, this is the negative part, that means you will reflect your graph here. So it will pass through the 2 also. Okay, because negative 2, when you reflect it out, it will become positive 2. Alright, so when you reflect it, your graph will look something like this. Okay, so this is my first graph. So this first graph is y equals to modulus x minus 2. Okay, so the second graph that you need to draw is y equals to 3. So I think this one is quite simple. So y equals to 3, it will be somewhere here. This is the 3. So you just need to draw a horizontal line. Okay, alright, so to get the solution for the x or to get the value of the x is actually the intersection point between y equals to 3 and also y equals to modulus x minus 2. Alright, so some students, if the graph that you draw is very, very accurate, of course they might want to get the answer from the graph. But in exam, it is not enough to show that, so you have to show the solution as well. Okay, alright, so again, it is very similar to the example 2 that we learned before. Okay, so when you want to get for the intersection point, right? So for this particular first intersection point here, you need to know the point is intersect with which line and which line. So the green color part is the reflected part, right? So it will be negative x minus 2. And then the red color one is y equals to 3. So to solve it, it is actually this one. Okay, so to solve the first point here, you will let negative x minus 2 equals to 3. Because this particular point is the intersection point of these two lines from the graph. Alright, then after that you can continue. So x minus 2 equals to 3, and then x should be equals to 5. Okay, did I do something wrong? Wait, something is wrong, sorry. Okay, I make a careless mistake. So this one should be negative 3. Oh my god. Okay, so this is negative 3. So x equals to negative 3 plus 2, you get a negative 1. Yeah, it should be matched one. So the negative 1 is here. Okay, if your graph is really, really accurate, actually you can roughly guess the value also. But you want to get a very accurate answer, therefore you still need to do some calculation to verify that it is the correct answer. So x equals to negative 1 for this point. Okay, and then the other intersection point is here. So again, for this intersection point, it is intersect with the original equation y equals to x minus 2 and also y equals to 3. Therefore, to get the solution, you will let x minus 2 equals to 3. So your x is equals to 5. Okay, so this is what we have it for method number 1. Method number 1, which is by graphical method. Okay. Alright, so in my opinion, for graphical method, right, it is a very useful method, but the bad thing is it is very time consuming because you need to spend extra time to draw the graph. Okay, and then after you draw the graph some more, you need to verify your answer by using calculation. Alright, okay, so to me it is very time consuming, but this is one of the best method that you can use because it shows you clearly what kind of solution are you having. Okay, like where's your value of the intersection point, they show you clearly. Of course, you have to draw your graph correctly. Alright, okay, so this is what we have for method number 1. Alright, then now we proceed to method number 2. Okay, so assume that you forget all this method here, then now we proceed to method number 2. So method number 2 is using the non-modulus form, right? Okay, so my original equation is this one, x minus 2 modulus equals to 3. Alright, and then do you still remember that we learned how to write the non-modulus form in the previous video? Okay, so there are two sides here, right? So you have x minus 2 and also x negative x plus 2, right? Okay, so for x minus 2, it will be x greater equals to 2. Then this one is x smaller than. So this is a non-modulus form that we have. Okay, so if you want to use non-modulus form to solve the equation, it's like this. This particular part, modulus x minus 2, you separate it according to the non-modulus form. So that means you're having two parts. One part is x minus 2 equals to 3. Another one is negative x plus 2 equals to 3. So when you solve it, right, you will see that you still get the same answer in part 1, which is x equals to negative 1 and also x equals to 5. Alright, so this is by using non-modulus form for this example, part 1A. Alright, so if you compare these two methods, which one is better? Actually, if let's say you want to compare it, method number 2 is much more shorter and save time. Because if you look at this step, the calculation part here and also this one, they are actually the same. Okay, but for method number 1, you need to sketch graph to look at the intersection point and where is it. So that means you spend longer time in drawing graph. Okay, so for method number 2, you don't need to draw the graph. You just apply the formula for non-modulus form. Okay, and then apply in your calculation. Then you can surely get the answer. The answer is still the same. Okay, so comparatively, you will see that actually method 2 is not a bad method because it saves time and also it is quite easy for you to get the answer. Alright? Okay, so you can compare and see which one you understand better. Usually for me, right, for beginner, I will suggest you to use graph one. If you're quite familiar with the graph, then you can use all the shortcut method or shorter method. Okay, because you already understand from the graph. Okay? Alright, so we have method number 1, method number 2, then now we proceed to method number 3. So method number 3 is square both sides. Okay, so for method number 3, square both sides, how can we do it by squaring both sides? Okay, so I will show you here, square both sides means something like this. Modulus x minus 2 equals to 3. Okay, so before we square both sides, you need to know what happened. Okay, when you square both sides here. Okay, so modulus function is a positive function, right? That means all your values should be positive because you reflect everything up above the x-axis. Okay, so when you square both sides, your graph is still positive. Therefore, you can actually ignore the modulus sign because when you square both sides, it also means that it is still positive. Okay, and then 3, you also need to square it. 3, when you square it, again, it is a number 9. Alright, so square both sides is something like this. When you square the modulus function will disappear. Okay, because square and also the modulus function have the same meaning, which means that all the values, all the functions are positive. The whole function is positive. Yeah, right. So when you solve it like this already, then x squared, you expand it. Okay, then x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals to 0. Okay, and then you factorize it. Then from here, you can see that you also get 2 same answer as the previous method. Okay, so I'm still having x equals to 5 and also x equals to negative 1. Alright, so here I already show you how to use all the 3 methods to solve this particular example. Okay, so now among these three, if let's say in exam, I want to solve this kind of question, what is the method that I am using or I'm going to use in exam? Okay, so for this particular question here, modulus x minus 2 equals to 3. Generally, I'm using method number 2. Okay, all right, so you can use 1, you can use 3, up to you, but to me, among these 3, right, method number 2 is the method that shortest and also easiest to get the answer, save time. All right, so usually I will use method number 2. So for practice part, if you want, I will suggest you to start with graphical method first. Okay, then if you find that you really understand already, then you can straight away come to the shortcut. So to me, the shortest way is method number 2, the easiest way. So in exam, usually when I see this kind of question, I will solve it by using non-modulus form method. Alright, so this is what we have for example 1A. Okay, alright, so for example 1B, you solve it yourself. Okay, so 1B, the question is modulus 7 minus 2x equals to 2. Okay, so if you look at the pattern, it is very similar to the pattern for part A. So the best method you can use is still method number 2 lah. So if let's say you are at home now and very free, I will suggest you to solve it by using all the 3 methods to see whether do you get the same answer or not. Okay, at the same time you practice. Alright, so part B and part A are having the same pattern. Okay, so best method is to me is method number 2. But if you want, you can try all the 3 methods here. Okay, so the answer for part B is actually x equals to 5 over 2. And also x equals to 9 over 2. Okay, right. So please make sure you complete this example. Alright, so please make sure that you complete this example by using all the 3 methods if you want. Okay, then if you cannot get the answer only, you let me know. Alright, so to me, part A and part B belongs to the same pattern. Alright, so to me, in exam, I will use method number 2 to solve it. Okay, alright. Then for this video, we'll stop it for here. Then the next video, we are going to continue with example 1C, the second pattern of the question. Alright.